Thanks for choosing us. We're your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Well, this afternoon, the Ghana National Fire Service is still battling to douse flames that have ravaged a large section of the Kantamanto market, destroying properties worth millions of Ghana cedis. The fire, which started during the early hours of Thursday, has so far destroyed over 100 shops, leaving traders in distress. Well, the fire service says it is not ruling out arson in its initial assessment of the cause of the inferno. They say they have also been forced to deploy almost all of their fire tenders in Accra to the area. We'll hear from the fire service shortly, but first, here's my colleague Collins Frimpong interacting with some of the distraught traders. They are pleading with government to help them recover from the disaster.
Now, the other one is a Janebay, Adia Seba 11:32. Na highlight off ena enkrofo bebre amma adwuma TMBA shops ni ade te jani to mu no me shop miss first the omeni ye opposite ho na ade ne start here it start here ne ba me what here professor e be yi boy no but the one e ja no e ba no na no ye din sebi o na ye for so say be yi boy no but amanisa wusie diti me kura no ye bo me abombo na de ba bonten na my emre because we see any farm so san me for so say na man for sika wo me ho a say me ko budan ani na me yi obi 600 million obi 40 million ni ade ni nyina ase sisi an dia atom pai board because sisi ani da so afi na esa be start class 1 because sisi an ha mo bi amfa excavator be si ase omu bedwiri ha esa the trouble be ba se na patana ye no obi aba obehu se ne ha ena ogina ton na de cause ye ni babi a ye ko Kantamanto ye ni babi a amanfo nwama ahye over millions of millions eye demand pa ti esra ban o meye yemwa because any engi wo for ye ni da brebe o babi a because light of omudundum wa ha na no odin light omudundum wa na no odin me kasa na misu because eye me ya me kitan yere kitan kola num aha na medidi nti abane sa adwuma be na menkoye menkobo kro mi phones ni mi bibia ase e wo inside mi sika 600 million 40 million 30 million ni nyina me yese me kofa be me hwe ade no se na ekọ no mi di agora mewu sema woni.
Sorry, but down here I have another shop too at the down. The fire started at 1 o'clock a.m. Since I came here about 33 or 35 years ago, I have never experienced such thing before. But in my mind, I can see that this place needs to be looked at, especially the government, because our electrical are not.
My colleague Collins Frimpong there interacting with some of the affected traders. Well, the fire service, we know they're still struggling to douse the flames, and we spoke earlier to the member of the Public Relations Department of the Ghana National Fire Service, Alex Kingnate. He attributed the fire outbreak to suspected arson. He further pleaded with government for more equipment to help them work efficiently.
Out of danger, the fear that would have had ordinarily for fires like this has been calm. We've contained the fire. As you can see, we contained the fire from further spreading into this building and that building. So the fire is contained. I can say it's under control, and we are working hard to make sure that it's finally extinguished, and then we wouldn't leave room for reignition of the fire once we finish extinguishing. So unfortunately, there was no distress call. Our officers, we have what we call station outlook, where if we see any thick smoke in the air, we trace it. So officers actually did a station outlook, and based on the station outlook, as they were proceeding, then a motor rider came to the station to report about the fire. So it was after the appliance had moved, then people started calling. So we didn't come here based on a call, but we came out based on station outlook. So that was around 1:18. So by 1:20, our crew arrived here at the fire scene, and upon arriving at the fire scene, they realized the fire was well alight. So they had to call for more reinforcements. So as we speak, we have 13 fire tenders garnered all over from Accra especially, and a few from Tema and then Spintex Road, all here at the scene to make sure that the situation is put under control.
What really caused the fire? Do we know?
So for the what caused the fire, we are still investigating. When during investigations are done during firefighting. So as we fight fires, we investigate, and so people are pointing to arson. We don't want to rule out arson. It could be a cause. It could be something else. Other information we are gathering is that after the people the market women or the market folks have closed, the people here resort to turning this place into a bar and brothel. So wherever there's bar and brothel, people smoke, and when people smoke, they indiscriminately dispose of these bats, and these bats can fall on anything. So yes, it could be arson, it could be electrical fault, it could again be indiscriminate disposal of these cigarette bats as you know, or even negligence. And the fact that people resort to cooking in the markets is a very worrying situation, because as we were fighting a fire, explosions kept going off, you know, due to the gas cylinders people are stored inside their stores and shops.
Before we look at the number of shops that have been destroyed here and some of the items that were in, what were some of the challenges that the fire service faced when they got here?
Well, we faced quite a lot of challenges. Accessibility was one. The good thing for us is that at the early hours when we came, accessibility wasn't too much of a problem, you know, apart from the interferences from people. But as the day dawned, like, you know, the morning came, accessibility became a problem, because it became a busy day, cars coming in, the road getting blocked, every congestion happening, and then the fact that there was no functional hydrant within this terrain. So we had to resort to traveling all the way to Farisco and then to GRA to go and replenish and come back. So you can imagine the distance from here to GRA at Circle, and then being in traffic all the way coming back here again to fight the fire. It wasn't a mean job.
So that's the situation at Kantamanto Market as we speak. My colleague, Collins Frimpong, is in the studio with me. Quite sad to see what is happening just as the beginning of the year. Let's look at the actual damage caused so far. As at the last time we counted over 100 shops. What number do we have now?
Right now, we don't know the specific number yet, but based on what Alex Kinate, who is the public relations officer for the Ghana Fire Service, over 100 shops have been destroyed, and millions of Ghana cedis have also been destroyed. And the items that we already know that Kantamanto is one of the largest retail markets in the world. So most of the things that have been destroyed are largely clothing and also some sprays that you will find there. But when we were there at around 1 p.m., the Ghana National Fire Service have been able to contain the situation. They got to the scene around 1:19 a.m. This morning, or this Thursday at dawn, when they received the information. Thankfully, this one wasn't based on a distress call, but based on their own measures that they've been able to institute, that they were able to detect that this is the situation happening at Kantamanto. So they were able to mobilize over 13 fire tenders across Greater Accra to move to the location. So largely, they've been able to contain the situation.
So on your screens now, there are aerial views of actually what happened at Kantamanto, so that we're giving you a sense of what actually happened. You see the stores there, and it's quite sad to have this happening. But we heard from Alex Kinate. They have suspicion that this may actually be an act of arson. Why is that the case?
Some of the traders themselves suspect that this could be as a result of their leaders, the Traders Association at Kantamanto. Their attempt to modernize the place, this exact place that we are seeing on telly. They have plans to make it a mall. They've entered into an agreement with an NGO that they don't want to name the NGO's name. They want to build a mall there. So the traders themselves, they disagree with the leaders. But as a form of an attempt, they suspect that even though political parties may also be behind it, but they believe that maybe their leaders are trying to sabotage them in order to modernize the area and sell the shops on a large scale, huge amount to them. And most of them, they can't afford it. So when they suggested that idea, they had already rejected that. So they suspect that this may be the reason. But others also believe that because people cook there, they have gas cylinders there. And the gas cylinders contains gas, and any amount of fire can cause a place to be set ablaze. So that's another aspect, or some of the reasons that some are also saying that may have contributed to the fire outbreak. But one major thing, as Alex Kenati mentioned, when we got there, realized that the roads leading to the area was crowded. People are selling on the road. And some of them also believe that, according to them, they say they have evidence that the Market Traders Association sell the pavement and the road itself to some of the traders to sell on the pavement when they are supposed to allow cars to move through those areas. So the situation is really dire for them. So this is what may have contributed to the fire outbreak.
Asad, when you were leaving the place, we cannot speculate. We know that the Ghana Fire Service, they're investigating the cause of the inferno. But then when you were leaving, have they been able to douse the flames?
Largely, they have.
Okay.
Just few areas that they have not been able to. And they were still present doing that. And unfortunately, the market fire hydrants are not working. All of them are not working. Initially, when they got to the scene, they thought they were working. So they had to come back to areas like Circle and also GRE to get a fire, to get water. So that was what was happening. So all the 13 fire tenders, they moved from the location to Circle to come for water. Then they come back to extinguish the fire. So most of them were stationed at the Ghana Commercial Bank branch at Kantamanto, where they were trying to extinguish the fire from that side. So on our screen, the building there that we are seeing on our screen, the building that's the only place that was left, largely, that they were trying to. So most of them, the fire tenders were stationed at the GCB branch trying to contain their fire from that side. And the sad thing is that scrap dealers, or as the debris are there, the scrap dealers are also trying to make away with the metals there.
Let's listen to Alex Kenati raise concerns about the provision of logistics.
We don't have enough fire attendants in the system. It's a very worrying situation for us as a service because, as I talked to you, we've dispatched almost all the fire attendants in Accra to this scene. I think including Flagstaff House, including Parliament. The only fire attendants left, I can say, is the fire attendants at Ajin Kotoku, Anya, and then maybe Electoral Commission. Other than that, all other fire attendants are here. So if there's any other fire within Accra, it will be a very big challenge because all the tenders are here. So we will ask and we will plead that more tenders should be purchased for the fire service, so that in the case where we have serious fires like this, even if we commit a lot of fire tenders, we still have a lot more on standby to be able to take care of the situation when they happen simultaneously.
Before we go, how many shops have been destroyed so far, and what were some of the items in the shops?
Well, I'm looking at over 100 stalls and shops, so over 100, but I would want to focus on what we've been able to salvage. This story building was salvaged. Even this story building we are under was salvaged. The Ghana Commercial Bank was salvaged. Mind you, the Commercial Bank is a very important installation, and also the fact that the bank had a standby generator, and at the same time they had a diesel tanker at the back. So if we had not done enough cooling, the fire coming into contact with the diesel could have caused a lot of problems. So we've been able, yes, there's been some damages, but trust me, the salvage has been much more than the damage.
Well, away from that, we'll be taking you to Parliament shortly because we have just been informed that the Finance Minister has finally presented before the House the budget for the first quarter of the year 2025. And we'll be taking you there shortly. But meanwhile, colleges of education across the country could face another disruption to the academic calendar if the government fails to take a drastic action to resolve concerns of the association by the 13th of January, as CETAG has declared a nationwide strike starting today. CETAG says despite 42 meetings with key stakeholders, which includes the Office of the Vice President, the Ministry of Employment, the Finance Ministry, the Education Ministry, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, there has been no progress in resolving their concerns. They say government has failed to implement staff migration plans and also pay compensation for all year-round work as directed by the National Labour Commission Arbitral Award. Now, on your screens is a copy of that statement from CETAG released earlier, just giving us a sense of why they are taking this action, withdrawing their services nationwide. And it says, notice of strike action, they put that forward on the 26th of September 2024 and also on the 3rd of December. Now, they have had 42 different meetings with stakeholders, and we told you that includes the Finance Ministry, the Education Ministry, the Labour Commission, the Fair Wages and Salary Commission, now all seeking to resolve their concerns, and all that meeting, they say, have come out unsuccessful. Now, on your screens now is a breakdown of the individuals or the organizations that they have met with. And we told you, Ministry of Education, Finance Ministry, the Ministry of Employment, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, which is CETAG, the Conference of Principals of Colleges of Education, PRINCOF, as well as Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. They've met with all the stakeholders to sort of bring finality to their concerns, and they say that has not been successful. Now, why are they embarking on this industrial action? They say it's because of the employer's failure to comply with the National Labour Commission's compulsory arbitration award issued on the 2nd of May 2023 in breach of Section 167(2) and 3 and Section 64(4) of the Action of the Labour Act, 2023 Act 651. They go on to say employers' failure to complete the migration of the colleges of education teaching staff onto the affiliate universities' pay structure. So some key concerns they are raising as to why they are withdrawing their services. Now they go on to say another key reason is government's undue delay in paying the remaining 42 colleges the 1 month basic salary as compensation for all year-round work done by CETAG members in 2022 as ordered by the NLC on the 2nd of May 2023. Still stating their concerns, they say prolonged delays by government in issuing the new appointment letters based on the staff audit reports and the affiliate university scheme of service to staff to enable the migration to be effected by the Controller and Accountant General's Department in October 2024 as agreed. So they've had meetings and certain agreements they have made, unfortunately, has not been met. Now they go on to say the non-payment of top-up of book and research allowance for 2023 to staff at Akrokiri College of Education. They go on to say that the NLC's triggering of Section 172 of the Labour's Act, Act 651, to compel our employers to comply with the 2nd of May 2023 and 31st of August 2023 orders and directives, even though the union has written several letters to the Commission for enforcement of the compulsory arbitration awards as specified in Section 172 of the Labour Act 2023, Act 651. Well, that's the statement. Just giving you highlights of some of the key things that CETAG is raising concerns about. Let me speak to Larry Agbado. He's editor of the Teacher Education Journal. I also have with me on Zoom Professor Samuel. He is the national president of PRINCOF. Thank you so much for your time, Professor Samuel Atintonu. And I also would be engaging you on social media as well. Share with me your thoughts about CETAG's decision to withdraw their services across the country. You can share your thoughts with us on our social media handles. We're Joe News on TV. I'll start with the national president of PRINCOF. This issue has been lingering for months now. Why exactly do you feel in your negotiations and in your communication with CETAG and government that this has delayed this far?
And
Prof,
good afternoon
you might have to
the college tutors.
You might have to unmute for me. That's what I was telling you. Okay, Prof, I'm told my connection to you is clear.
I think I'm unmuted. Can you?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Please make your point.
Good afternoon to you, and then to everyone, a happy new year. It's unfortunate on the strike that they are embarking on today.
Yeah.
A lot of work has gone in order to address these issues. And if you recall, some of the things they mentioned here all year round, some of the colleges have been paid. But I would agree with them that quite a number of them still haven't been paid, but they are being processed at controller. But the key issues about their migration, before we went on the Christmas break, GTEC, PRINCOF, including CETAG, we have had to go to controller, and they have agreed to process or work on the migration for January. And that is currently being done. So for me, I'm a little bit surprised because I thought where we are, they would have had a little bit of patience. After all, we agreed that it had been delayed. But the outgoing government, in December, they have signed that letter, that's from Minister of Finance, authorizing controller to effect the payment. Let me indicate that when they conducted the staff, the migration, there were a lot of issues that needed to be fixed before the implementation. We brought this to the attention of CETAG. We all agree that we should correct the data before implementation. In fact, CETAG were of the view that we should go ahead and implement, while that of the CENSAC, that the non-teaching unit, said no, we shouldn't do. So we have to come to a compromise, and the outgoing Minister for Education, together with GTEC and Fair Wages, we all agree to correct the data. We finished the correction just at the end of November. Bear in mind we're almost in December, and December payment normally comes early. So we have now all agreed that January this to be implemented. And we appeal to them, why can't we wait at this point where there's even a transition to a new government, which you know that the officers in charge will no longer be there. The new people coming, I don't think that should be a problem because they have done everything. It's left with the money getting to their pockets. So I would appeal to them. College is going to be resumed on January 13th. I think what is left is they should be patient. If January they don't see it done, then they may have every reason to, come back for some engagement.
But Prof, there are a number of issues they have raised, and I would like that to come up on our screen so that we take them one by one, because you're just addressing one of the many issues they have raised. One, okay, they're raising concerns about the delay in payment of some of the agreed upon allowances that ought to have been paid to them. And that is coming up on our screen shortly. Yes. I want us to take it paragraph by paragraph so that you can address the concerns as it is. Now, one, they say failure to comply with the National Labour Commission's compulsory arbitration award. That was issued as far back as May. Why is it so difficult to implement this?
I don't think, that's why I said there's no failure here. The award gave them the fact that they should pay them salaries comparable to that of their colleagues in the universities. And that required some staff audit that will have to be done to know who qualifies to be what. We all came to the agreement by September last year, or even September, October, that they should be put on the rank of assistant lecturer. That has been done. They have also asked that in that same thing, pay them the all year round, which we have also processed, paid some, and some have not been paid, which they are working on. So it is a delay, not a failure. So I wouldn't say it's failure. But the migration that they have talked of, everything about it, data has been cleaned. It is left with the final stage of implementing it, of which controller is working on. So I wouldn't say there's failure on the part of the employer to do what they're asking for.
Okay. Another key concern they have raised here is your failure to complete the migration of the colleges of education teaching staff onto the affiliate universities' pay structure. Why is that the case?
So again, it is tying with the number one. It is a delayed process, and I've explained that part of the reason is that when you are dealing with data over 4,000 or 5,000, you always have fallouts, and that we had. And when you have it, you don't want to migrate people when there are problems with the same people, and they even complain. They raise it before the minister to say that some lecturers who have MPhil were classified as cleaners, which was very bizarre. We were acknowledged because the human beings who did this data, and there were errors. So we needed to correct all this kind of data. And letters were going back and forth, from the Minister of Finance back to GTEC, back to Fair Wages and Salaries. In fact, the last one that the Fair Wages and Salaries did was just around, somewhere around 10th December or so. So it is left with the last stage. It is a process, and the process has been followed. And it is I firmly believe that by January, the suit will get paid or migrated onto the public university pay structure that has been recommended.
Another key concern they have is undue delays in paying the remaining 42 colleges the 1 month basic salary as compensation for all year-round work done by CETAG. What is the problem with that? That problem, it came, we got warrants to actually make payments. You have to go on the government payment platform, that's GiveMe. So principals did this twice, and then we really them. We went back to the Minister of Finance, and they actually acknowledged that there wasn't the budget lines, or if you want, allocations for those lines for the payment. So they have to reissue new warrants. It was a new warrants that made it possible for some colleges to pay, and then others are left. As we speak now, again, it is at, or the warrants or the payment data is at controller. So that is also being addressed. So yes, I would admit and agree with them it's been delayed, but it's not something that was intentional, and it's not something government and that of Princop or GTEC enjoy to do that. We're all concerned about it. What timelines are you giving as to when this will be dealt with? Because they have had 42 separate meetings with all key stakeholders.
I think where I stand, and I'm sure the CETAG leadership is also online who will speak, before 23rd or 24th December, in fact, we're in controller and we have the assurances that come this January, we should be able to get all these payments made. That's why I said I thought they would stop probably at least giving some consideration and wait till January, because we're all there. We didn't go there ourselves. Their president was there with their secretary.
Another key concern they've raised is prolonged delays in issuing the new appointment letters based on the staff audit report and the affiliate university scheme of service to staff to enable the migration to be effected by the Controller General Accountant. They go on to say another key concern is non-payment of top-up of book and research allowance for 2023 to staff of a particular college of education, Akrokeli. Why?
Akrokeli case, in fact, there were 4 colleges out of the 46 which had problems with the data submission. So there was a mix-up between that of the GTEC and then Fair Wages, but finally they were addressed. So other 3 colleges were paid, except this Akrokeli college. And we have constantly reminded them that they should follow up and see to it that the thing that they need to do have been done. The principal then, Dr. Yamiche, addressed the issues and sent it back. So it will be paid. So I don't think it should be an issue. Out of the 46, only 1 is left, and we know what we are supposed to do, and we are bringing it up here.
Well, it will be paid, no doubt, but when?
Yeah. As I speak now, I think that when we resume, that's to be done. We are on recess, so it is my expectation that by the same January we should have it done, because just one college. So the letters that you talked about, we could not have written the letters because CETAG itself with Prinkov and GTEC, we went to meet the Minister for Education, and they asked if we were to write letters, how will we write the letters when the data was full of errors? So some has been classified as assistant lecturers, some as cleaners, some as this. So to clean the data before write the letters. The data has been cleaned. We have sent everything and submitted to that of a controller, and they're working on it. Colleges are on recess. When we get back, we are going to resume on 13th January. Writing a letter doesn't take us long, and they know that. If we get back, we'll write the letters for them. So that is not an issue. It's appointment letters.
Now, finally, they say the NLC's inertia in triggering Section 172 of the Labour Act 2023 to compel the employers to comply with the 2nd of May, referring to the arbitral awards, and 31st of August 2023 orders and directives, even though the union has written several letters to the Commission for enforcement. So this has been happening for months now. They want assurances and they want timelines. When would this be done?
On that one, I think that has to deal with NLC. But what I can comment on that is, I'm fully aware that at the point that NLC wanted to actually support them, they were on strike. NLC had appealed to them to call off the strike while they can intervene to address the matters. Each time they did, they said no, they don't even respect the same NLC. So on that note, NLC is also lay back. So for me, I should think that they have to go back to the NLC. But what is actually left to be dealt with? There's not much. As we speak now, their key thing is the migration the whole year round, which I said every effort is being made by GTEC, the employer, and everybody to ensure that they are paid. Because nobody is interested in they going on strike. It doesn't help the academic environment of the colleges of education. So once again, it is my appeal to them. We have to be patient as we work through. On 2nd January 2025, we just come out from the new year. Controller has been working throughout even the holidays. Why won't we have that faith and trust in ourselves?
But they've been patient for far too long, you agree, because this has been raging for a while. And so now that they have withdrawn their services again, how then do we bring finality to this?
Well, as I said, we are looking towards the end of January, and I'm very confident by January ending, these payments should have been done. So my appeal to them is, we have waited for almost 3, 4, 5 months. Yes, we do sympathize with them, but it is a process, and the process, you cannot truncate them. That got us to where we are, but we still have faith and trust in each other that January is not far. We should see what the results are in or not.
Well, let me bring in Larry at this point. Larry, this conversation we have had one too many times. How then do we bring finality to it?
Yeah, firstly, it's quite a worrying one. I was just here nodding my head when I heard Prophet Tinto giving timelines to some of the issues we were asking him. Because he himself, where he sits, he finds it difficult and he's not so happy with the situation. I'm sure every Ghanaian will have been kind of fed up with this CETAG issue, because the whole of last year we kept hearing CETAG going on strike, CETAG going on strike. So we'll ask ourselves, what I told is that government and then the relevant stakeholders cannot come together and then address these issues once and for all. Our student teachers have been home since September, October, even before September, October, they were home for about 2 months because of this strike. They were supposed to return to school, I think, somewhere late October or early November, but their reopening was postponed to 13th January. And just as they're preparing to go to school, CETAG comes out with this release again today, saying that they are going on strike. And you ask yourself, with all these things going on, are they not affecting, or is it not affecting the caliber of teachers that colleges are producing? Because the whole of last year, it was quite tough as a result of these strikes. If you interact with both PRINCOV members and then CETAG members on the ground, this whole migration issue, if it's completed, it's actually going to affect PRINCOV members as well, just as the way it's going to affect CETAG members. It will affect PRINCOV members as well. I know Professor Tintonu has worked tirelessly behind the scenes with the former CETAG leadership and then the current one. But I feel that the relevant government agencies have also not attached some level of seriousness or priority to the needs of the colleges. That is why we are where we are today. And it's quite unfortunate that the colleges have to be going through this stress, not just for a year. I think these issues have been lingering on for about 2 years now. So it's quite unfortunate. When you interact with, I'm sure the CETAG president will come on to speak very soon. I had an interaction with him a few days ago, and left to him alone, they will have loved to wait to see what government would do in the coming days or in the coming weeks. But his members are finding it difficult to trust any government agency right now on these issues. And that is why it has resulted to them voting and asking that, look, let's declare the indefinite strike. And we are at a crossroad also because, there's transition ongoing. There's a government about to hand over to another government in less than a week. And their fears also are that when this government hands over, the Mahama-led administration that is coming in, how are they going to respond to these issues? And these are issues that I said earlier on have been lingering on for about 2 years now. And it's quite pathetic that we've allowed the colleges to go through this mess, if I'll put it so.
Now, we have other guests on Zoom, and let me just engage them now, specifically CETAG, to just get their thoughts about what is happening and how best we can bring finality to some of these challenges they have raised. Thank you so much for your time. Let me now speak to the president of CETAG. He joins us via Zoom.
Yeah, madam.
Mr. Maxwell.
Yeah, good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, Mr. Maxwell Bunu. He is CETAG National President. Thank you so much for your time. I also have with me Razak Swale. He is CETAG President. Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. Now, let me come to you, Mr. Maxwell. You have raised salient concerns, and we've been hearing from PRINCOV giving us some assurances that they've actually made some sort of effort to address your concerns. So far, this debate has been raging for months. I recall that you went on a very long strike and then you had to come back because of assurances from government. You tell us that you've been in 42 different meetings. At this point, you are fed up, aren't you?
Exactly so. We are just fed up. We are tired. It is not in the interest of members of CETAG to always embark on strike. In fact, strike should be the last resort, and that is what we always do. After all, what do we gain in punishing our own students? Some of us, the students that we're teaching are our siblings. Our own children are part of them. But constantly, government's cold feet attitude to resolving CETAG issue has always brought us to where we are today. Like you rightly said in your intro, we have attended over 42 meetings and still counting. And I sympathize with my Professor Tintonu, that there have been some, all along he made some promises again. It has been one promise after another. One promise after another. We have shown a lot of goodwill to the government. We had meetings and we listened to them, and they will tell us, look, when we met at the Flagstaff House, that's the seat of government. We met one Fred Wari, who assured us that they were going to resolve this matter or this issue for us, and therefore we should suspend the strike. Following with that, we had a meeting with the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, Honorable Ignatius Bafouwa, on the 19th of August. And there was full assurance given in that meeting that they were going to have the issue resolved. My dear sisters, from that 19th up to date, you can just imagine, still the issues are still lingering on. We have not been able to resolve this issue. I think because of the promises and failure on the government part to actually comply with the arbitral award, and also ensure that once he has promised, he has actually delivered on his promises, members of CETAG are now tired. They can no longer take any promise, and that is what has led to this strike, because as Prof. Atitonu actually said, we were at controller, but we were not able to have any infinitesimal evidence of migration being done at controller. It has been through word of advice, discussions, that we'll get it done and that kind of thing. So what exactly, as a CETAG president, what are you going to tell your people for them to see and know that really you have brought some good news to them? Where members are currently, they want to see action. They want to see real evidence of the implementation. Hence this strike, because once they are not seeing the evidence, certainly they cannot believe that government is actually implementing the arbitral award. So where we have gotten to, for me, the students were supposed to come back to college last year, 18th of November. It was again due to the CETAG issue that the semester was deferred. You can find out. So instead of students coming on the 18th, they have to defer the semester to January 13th. And the understanding we got at that time too was that probably government was going to use that period to get all the issues resolved, so that come January 13th, we'll come back to college without any issue. But here we are. We are in January already, and still the issues have not been resolved. For me, I think the only way out, since they were able to defer the semester on the 18th last year, 18th November, probably we need to wait for this issue to be resolved, because if college will reopen by 13th, I think from 13th to 22nd, when salaries will be paid, that is not far. So that we can get this issue resolved once and for all. We wait for payment to be done so that we can resume school or college. Where I am, it will be extremely difficult. I'm not sure with what is going on our various platform that any CETAG member will be willing to step his or her feet into the classroom, come tell a teacher that he or she is going to teach. Nobody is going to do that. Even the level 400 students who are currently, who are at home, but very soon they'll be going back to school to continue with their internship. No college lecturer will want to go and supervise them. And nobody is ready to also vet their project work. So when these decisions have been made by council, it will be extremely difficult to convince members at this time that they should relax. Government has promised again, and they should go to the classroom come 13th January to start teaching so that they pay them. I'm not sure that will happen. So I will want to advise that the only solution is to rather wait patiently. Let's just assume that we are still enjoying our vacation so that they get the payment done, and somewhere maybe 25th, 26th, we go back to school. That's what I can say for now.
On what basis would you return to school? Because I know you've listed 6 different items that you would like them to address. Which item are you willing to reach a compromise with? And which item are you willing to be able to go back to school if government officially implements?
Now, sister, the only item that can convince members of CETAG to go back to school come 13th January is the migration. They want to be migrated onto the university salary structure. You see, even come to think of it, the migration that we're talking about, if you read arbitral award, is supposed to take retrospective effect 1st January 2023. So we have huge arrears there for government to pay. And we have not yet been migrated. So at least the college lecturer want to see that he or she has been placed on the university salary structure. I believe that if that is done, it will give some hope to members that once we have been placed on a universal salary structure, then the remaining items will also follow. But as of now, that does not happen. And you think that the quality teacher will want to go back and teach? That I'm afraid, I'm not sure it will happen.
Okay. Now let me bring in Razak Swale. He is CETAG president. Thank you so much for your time here on the Pulse. As we wrap up the conversation, you and your members, you have monitored the situation and what is happening right now. How do you propose we bring finality to this?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. For us as students, we have always been wanting our teachers to come back to the classroom for teaching and learning to continue. It's quite unfortunate that just as we are about to resume for studies on 13th of January, we've gotten this disheartening news from our teachers again that they are about to embark on strike. However, we are disappointed at the way the government has handled the issue, because these are arbitrary awards that are being awarded to our teachers. And I think at any point in time, our teachers have done their very best and by showing good faith to the government, for government to also play its part. So for where we sit as students, we just want the government to address the needs of our teachers, and then our teachers will be back to the classroom on the 13th of January, and schools will resume just so that we can have our studies.
Thank you, Razak Swale. We've been speaking to key members in the sector just to get their thoughts about what exactly will be done to bring finality. If you just tune in, CETAG, they have withdrawn their services nationwide effective today. We're taking this quick breather. When we return, we'll take you to Parliament, where the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, has finally laid before Parliament the budget for the first quarter of 2025. Staying with us here on the Pulse. Now, it's time to take you to Parliament, because the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, has finally laid before Parliament the budget for the first quarter of 2025 after weeks of delay. The mini budget was struck in the middle of a disagreement between the NDC and the NPP in Parliament over some outstanding government business, notable some requests for tax waivers. Now, government is requesting 68.1 billion cedis to keep the government running until the incoming John Mahama administration takes over and presents its substantive budget. Let me cross over now to Parliament. Kweku Asante is on standby for me. Kweku, what's happening as we speak?
As we speak, the House is currently on suspension. The mini budget to cater for the first quarter of 2025 has since been presented. Like you mentioned, 68.1 billion Ghana cedis. That is what it entails, with the minister finally laying this document before the House. The Speaker of Parliament has since referred this matter to the Joint Committee on Business and Finance to consider, and Budget and Finance, as you see, and that is why the House is currently standing on suspension. They are expected to come back around 5 p.m. And so for the next 2 hours, the House is expected to consider this estimate and then bring the report to the floor of the House at 5 o'clock p.m. for a vote to be taken on that. And so at 5 p.m., when the House returns from this suspension, we expect that there will be a vote on the 68.1 billion Ghana cedis. There is general consensus on this to fund the first quarter of next year, 68.1 billion, mainly to pay salaries, to cater for issues having to do with interest rates, and to just keep the government running up until John Dramani Mahama's government presents a substantive budget to deal with government expenditure total in terms of infrastructure, capital expenditure in particular. And so this one will just keep the government running, goods and services, salaries, interest payments, among others, 68.1 billion Ghana cedis. That is how much it's going to cost between now and the end of March 2025, the first quarter, before the new budget will come in. It has been delaying for weeks now because there was no agreement between the NDC and MPP side over some outstanding government business. You will recall that the government side insisted that the NDC should come into the middle as when it comes to matters like tax waivers request, some $250 million loan, and matters having to do with 2 persons nominated to the Supreme Court by President Akufo-Addo. The NDC had been opposed to all of that, which has meant that those businesses had been caught in the wind. But finally, it appears there's some agreement, because if you look at the order paper that has been provided for this very short meeting of Parliament before the House goes on before the House is dissolved next week, Monday. All these matters have come up quite strongly. And if you look at the other paper, none of them appears on that. There is no mention of the 2 persons nominated to the Supreme Court. There's no mention of the $250 million loan. And there's also no mention of the $350 million worth of tax waivers. And so it appears the government side has agreed to sell that and deal with the matter having to do with the mini budget, which has since been referred. And so that is the state of play. That is the issue when it comes to the mini budget, which has finally come, and public sector workers can ultimately expect that at the end of the month their salaries will come. It has been delaying, and yesterday and today one were even wondering what exactly is the money that Parliament is using to fund itself when no amount had been approved, Faustina.
And you have been engaging both the minority and the majority. I'm sure lots of lobbying has been going on. After presenting the budget, what was their reaction?
Well, in particular, when it comes to the minority, they had been really disturbed that the government, in fact, the allegation they made at the time was that the current government is seeking to handicap the incoming John Dramani Mahama administration, because ultimately they would have bore the brunt of the lack of funds to keep the government running, and they would have bore the brunt of organized labor because salaries were not going to be paid and all that. And so they in the NDC are now particularly happy. Not much of a reaction today have come in so far from the NPP side. We expect ultimately from 5 p.m. when the debate comes back to the floor with regards to the mini budget, the appropriation, and all these issues. I'm sure both sides and the leadership are going to comment on certain allocations that have been made. That is a time that we'll get to hear the views of both sides of the House. But for now, in particular, when it comes to the NDC side, they're excited, they're happy that finally this outstanding business has been put before the House, and that the 8th Parliament will be able to deal with it before it is dissolved on Monday.
And will the budget be passed today?
Well, yes, Faustina, that's what I said earlier on, that is the expectation. Tomorrow, the only thing Parliament is going to do is to listen to the President on his message on the State of the Nation. And so that is the only order of business that will be done tomorrow, State of the Nation address. That is it. And so currently the House is on suspension to consider those estimates by the committees. The Budget and Finance committees are considering the mini budget that has been put before the House and referred to them. They will bring a report at 5 p.m. or soon thereafter. It will be put before the House, there will be a debate, and then it will be voted on and approved or otherwise. We expect that will be done today.
Thank you, Kwekwa Asante, our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. Now, away from that, the National Executive Council of the Conference of Heads of Assisted Senior Secondary Schools warned the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education to postpone the reopening of schools originally scheduled for January 3, 2025. The recommendation was made at an emergency meeting held on Tuesday, December 31st, 2024. In the appeal, Charles stated that they strongly advise against the reopening of school due to the government's failure to pay outstanding arrears related to perishable recurrent fees and costs incurred from transporting food items from regional distribution centers to schools. On your screens now is just extracts from that statement. It says that their key concerns is that they're appealing to the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education to postpone the resumption of schools after Christmas break. Now, schools, they say, cannot reopen on the 3rd of January, and they've gone on to state the key reasons as to why they feel that schools should not reopen on the 3rd of January. They say that they have sent letters to the Ministry of Education to intervene on 3 different occasions. On the 12th of August, 13th of November, and 20th of December, all in the year 2024, stating clearly their demands, and we'll let you know their demands shortly, because they have raised concerns about funding. 2 main concerns they have raised: payment of all overdue perishable and recurrent fees, and payment of outstanding fees for transporting food items to schools from distribution centers. Well, it's a good time to engage the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary School their leadership at this point, because they say that they cannot guarantee that senior high schools, if they resume at the 3rd of January date, would actually help schools. So let's listen to them, and we'll be back for more interaction.
Well, if Ghana Education Service is saying that school is going to reopen, we've never had any argument about who has the power to reopen schools. Our stance is that if schools are going to be reopened tomorrow, and after today, schools have not been given money and food, we still have the view that the students can come. We are not going to lock any dormitory or prevent any student from coming, but in an instance where schools are unable to feed their students or to buy materials and other things to run the school, if in the event that it's unable to happen, there's nothing, I don't think anybody can blame us for that. So they have the money. Yes, if they say schools will open, we don't have any problem. We don't have any qualms with that. We've never argued with them on that. But our stance, the issues that we have raised per our letter are still valid and are still in force.
And when was the last time you heard from government concerning these issues?
I cannot remember as far as this is. Because remember that before this particular letter that we issued on the 31st, we had issued 3 previous letters. The most immediate one before this last one was on the 20th of December. We have another one that was issued around September, the 18th November, and an earlier one was issued on the 12th of August, all in connection with the same issues. And within that, between the August and the 20th letter, some measures had been put in place. But after the 20th, the one that we issued a reminder again, we've not had any reaction from government as far as we know.
And remind us again what those demands are in those letters that you've written to government.
Yes, the last one, basically there are 3 things. We're talking about the arrears for the recurring fee. Some that have not been paid as late as far back as 2021. We have not been paid some recurring fee. We are also requesting that, the feeding, some schools have run out of food completely. Some schools have run out of food completely, even before the Christmas break. But the truth of the matter is that some schools have to even go on the Christmas break prematurely because we were to vacate, we were to go on break on the 19th of November for the Christmas break. But some had to go as early as 17th because they had nothing in their stores, to feed the students. And the hope was that by the time we would have resumed after this Christmas break, something would have been done. Nothing has been done in some of the instances. I'm aware, it's on record that some regions were supplied some items within the period, but some regions, like Upper West, Northern, Upper East region, nothing has been supplied to the schools in these regions before and after today as we are talking.
We bring in Reverend Father Stephen Owusu-Setre. He's Charles President. Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. Now, let's get to understand your key concerns. In your engagement with government, did they give you any assurance as to timelines as to when some of these bills you made mention of will be cleared?
Thank you very much for having me. As you heard my secretary narrated, I want to state that we wrote the letter not asking that we are going to close down schools. We are saying that the reopening should be postponed because we don't have what it took to take care of the students. Now, after all our letters written, you know that we have not heard from management, GS management officially, but behind the scenes, I've received some calls from the minister and the Director General of Ghana Education Service. They tell me that they are working out the numbers, the figures, and then they will send us money. But as we speak, we've not received any sign of the money. So we are waiting.
Let's get into the specifics whilst we wait. You say payment of all overdue perishable and recurrent fees. How much is this exactly?
As a matter of fact, if I say I can give you the amount involved, then I will be lying. I have not put that together. But you see, we have put them out according to the months, according to the number of students in the schools. If you put together the numbers, this is how it is done. We know that 2 cedis 6 pesos is for perishables for a student a day. So that one, when they are bringing, is multiplied by the number of students you have and is given to you for perishables. And even that is not only for perishables; it's part of gas and firewood and other things that you use to cook for the students. That is what we are talking about. When it comes to recurrent, since 2021, the only money that has been coming to us will be for examination and at times science and math quiz. And to the day schools, they were giving the recurrent money because without the perishables, because they don't have boarding students, they were not receiving the money for the perishables. So the only money they were using in the schools will be the recurrent. So they were giving the recurrent. And as far as I know, for about 6 or 7 months now, they've not received the money in their school. So all that we are saying is that the money should come to us so that when school reopens, we will be able to be in the position to cater for our students and to run the school smoothly.
You're also raising concerns about the payment of outstanding fees for transporting food items to schools. I know that with the recurrent fees and perishable dues, you cannot give me an exact figure. But when it comes to the outstanding fees for transportation of food items, do you have any specific figure?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we have been asking for that figure, and that figure has only been given to us. You know, we are not in control of the calculations of this. What it means is that, for example, we have distribution centers in every region. So if, for example, I'm in a Kukura school, I pick my food items from Okes, that's Atafo. So when I move my vehicle, they have to calculate the kilometric way of doing it. That's how they told that they're going to do it. So they will collect the receipts and everything that we have given to them, and they will calculate the money involved, and then they will give it to us as transportation. We had a meeting with them, and they said they're going to put that together and let us have the amount. But as we speak, we don't really have, because it's across the country, and because they have been receiving the documents, we don't really have our documents together now. It's with Free SHS Secretariat, and I know that they should be able to give us the figure as to how much is coming to us and how much is involved in that regard.
As we wrap up the conversation, in your statement, you do not state that your members should not return to school. All you're doing is appealing to government. Should government fail to heed to your appeal and school reopens tomorrow, paint a picture for me. What are we likely to see?
Yes, per the conversation that I've had with the Director General, I don't even expect that to see. But if it happens, it means that the students will come to school, all right, but we have to make the parents, the students aware of what we can do for them and what we cannot do for them. And then we take it from there.
What because can you not do for them?
What we cannot do for them is to get the money to feed them. What we cannot do for them is to get the money to do day-to-day, carry out day-to-day activities in the school. But I am hopeful, per the discussions I've had with the Director General Minister. Maybe I'm hoping against hope that money, we should see a sign of monies released to the schools so that my members who are now uncertain about how they're going to take care of the students will be at peace, and they know that money is coming. And then we will go back to the table and then communicate to the country. Because as it stands now, we have been promised that money is coming and the money is not in. So if tomorrow students come to school, we receive them and let them know what is at stake in the school. But I hope that by now all parents are aware of what we are saying. So the schools will be open tomorrow. If they come, we let them know that since we don't have the money yet, we cannot do this, but we can do that. That's going to happen tomorrow.
In your engagement with government, did they give you any timeline as to when this money will come?
I have been told that today money will be released, But as you speak, I'm told the Director General has indicated that he's going to meet with the National Executive Council of CHAS. And in fact, the link has been sent to me. Because of this engagement, I've not been able to even send to my members. So we are going to meet with the Director General, and then in that meeting, we will decide. Maybe he has good news for us, and we are going to listen to him.
And this meeting is when?
Say that again?
This meeting is when exactly?
I think he told me it was supposed to be 4 o'clock.
Okay.
But now it's 4:15, so maybe we may have to start late. But definitely, he tells me there's going to be a meeting in which he's going to address CHAS. And so we're waiting for him to give us the good news so that tomorrow everything will be peaceful.
Thank you, Reverend Father Stephen Owusu-Sechere.
But my sister, before I go, could you allow me to make some remarks?
Okay, please do.
Before, in fact, when our first letter came, there was a discussion. In fact, I was not part of it. And people were saying that CHAS suddenly found their voices and all that. In fact, I was surprised. My people could not tell them that that's not the case, because we've been speaking with you about our issues. We've been bringing out our communiques. In fact, we've gone as far as to Parliament to meet with the Select Committee on Education to present our issues. So when people say that the CHAS finally, all of a sudden found their voices, I'm surprised. And I will plead with you, because we have been talking, and you know what we have been going through. We have been discussing all this while through all the years. So I want to state categorically that it's not fair for people to make that kind of statement. We are not afraid. We are all Ghanaians. We are all serving our country, and we are just telling government what we need to do to move this country forward. And it will be very unfortunate for people to say that CHAS is afraid, CHAS cannot talk and all that. But we know definitely that we have been coming out with our concerns, just that some of them are addressed and some of them have not been addressed. So I want to put it on record that assertion is, or that kind of perception is wrong.
Thank you, Reverend Father Stephen Owusu-Sechere. He is CHAS President. And we will be taking a break here on The Pulse. When we return, we'll tell you about the 90s Jam. It's happening tomorrow, 8 p.m. at Pleasant Gardens. You want to stick and stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Now, let's do some other stories before we leave the studio. Family gatherings are not a common sight in Kumasi, but the Love FM Family Party in the Park changed the narrative for New Year 2025. The city's largest outdoor event uniquely provided a platform for thousands of families to come together, creating a rare opportunity for communal joy and bonding at Osekrum. Collins from Pong, Yeboah filed this report.
The beautiful atmosphere, coupled with finely trimmed grasses and trees at the Ratri Park, was enough motivation for families to come together to eat, drink and chat heartily. The children were perhaps the most excited as they participated in dancing competitions, face painting, bouncy castles, electric trains, swimming, among other activities. The old folks were attracted to live band performances for their listening pleasure and relation. This is Love FM's way of bringing families together.
Looking at the ending of the year, looking at the election year, like a whole lot of things going up and down, academics, graduating for KNUST. Yeah, so like it's a good time to bond with the family. Looking at entering the new year, the first day of the new year, it's a good time to bond with the family. So definitely, it's really bonding us together. You see, I just met you here and then now we are having a convo, so you can imagine.
Because if you go to the playground, you have so much that you can do there. You have Fancy Castle, you have the slide. I've done all of them. Like, I'm even tired, but I still want to go home.
I don't think there've been years I've missed this program. I've been here every single day that they do this program, and I really enjoy it.
We are the better pressure also. It's a school visit and grab it. It's a pressure in the way nyame mo e mo person dey be expect bi ano mo ba program na ya ne ya adwe no.
In an unexpected twist, the Ghana Police Service joined the festivities, adding to the excitement while still in uniform, enhancing the festive atmosphere.
That out, we want children to be part of policing in Ghana. That is why when you see us here this morning, it was based upon the instruction of the Inspector General of Police that we should also add this side attraction so that the kids who will be here will also see the police as friendly.
The 2025 edition saw overwhelming numbers. Host of Ufie Kwanzo on Nishua FM, Kingsley Odamia Mwako, who hosted the adult corner of the event, says the upward numbers are a confirmation of maximum satisfaction.
Sponsors we are sponsors now. We'll be at the product mine. And I will say, we're joining multimedia, radio guide resource, say Love FM, say Nishua FM, Evan Ashanti region beyond there.
Well, I've been engaging families who are dining, who are enjoying themselves, dancing all over. And they tell me how excited they are to be here and how this program has opened up and lightened their new year. And they're hoping for opportunities ahead, which is what I am wishing for you watching us from home. My name is Clinton Yabua, reporting for Joy News.
Clinton Yabua there. Now it's 24 hours to the much anticipated Joy FM's 90s Jam. Now get ready to dance to the tunes from the likes of Daddy Lumba, Kojo Inchi, or Bravo, Tic Tac, and Naughty by Nature. The time is 8 p.m. It's tomorrow at Pleasant Gardens, Jolo, here in the Greater Accra region. The likes of DJ Black and Nedossi will be behind the turntable, so you have to be there. I'm going to be there in person. Trust us. All the Joy News team members, the likes of Evans Mensa, MFL Powell, will all be at that event. Now,